Can you tell us something about the Khmer Rouge and the Pol Pot? Why did that person massacre so many of his people? So this happened in Cambodia. Let's go to the map because we're discussing places. We go to map. So let's put the map of the world on the screen, and we are talking about Cambodia, Cambodia Desh. So let me show you where it is. We know where India is. Let's go eastwards this time. We go eastwards. We cross the far east of India. We enter Myanmar. We go south. We go south of Thailand, and here we have this country, wonderful country of Cambodia, which was destroyed by the Khmer Rouge. Okay, so this is where it happened. First of all, now let's go off the map, and it was eventually, I think Pol Pot took over in 1975, and Vietnam liberated the country in 1979. Vietnam, a communist nation, liberated Cambodia from brutal Khmer Rouge communist terrorists. Okay, very strange story. So in the 1980s, I was a kid in Switzerland, and as a boy you often go to the barber to have a haircut. And in the 1980s in Europe, they would have magazines in the barber shop, because you would wait for your turn. Somebody else is getting a haircut, you have to wait half an hour, maybe sometimes maybe 15 minutes. So there are magazines kept over there for people to kill time. And those magazines are not for kids, I assure you of that. Okay, I discovered it once. So that day I went to the barber shop and I had about 15-20 minutes to wait. So I picked up a magazine, and it was a news week or something like that. It was about news. I opened the magazine, and my goodness, I see these horrific images. It's the mid 80s, okay? I see these extraordinarily horrific images of some nation in Asia, and it's a rural nation, and on both sides of the little country roads you have ditches that are dug, and they're filled with rotting human bodies. As a kid you should not have to see such things, but people experience that, people live through this. And I saw these images and I was horrified. And then I read a bit, and it's Cambodia, and I saw the term Khmer Rouge there, and the images, they scarred me. I was what, like 8, I don't know, I was a kid, less than 10 years old for sure. My god, those images I saw. So now let me tell you what the Khmer, and the person who did that carnage, just fields filled with dead bodies rotting under the sun. Oh my god, those images still okay. So the person who did this was Pol Pot. He was Cambodian. He studied in France. In France, he became infected with communist ideas, Marxist ideas. He was studying in some uh, technical school, engineering or something. He was studying some form of engineering, and he got exposure to communist ideas. He became a communist. He comes back to Cambodia. He and the nation of Cambodia was a monarchy. It was run. The king was um, Narottam Sihanouk. Norodom Sihanouk, which is Narottam Sihanouk, and he had been overthrown in a coup. So Narottam Sihanouk was in exile. So this guy Pol Pot starts a guerrilla insurgency, and this fellow, the king Narottam Sihanouk, joins hands with the Khmer Rouge, which is the organization that Pol Pot becomes the head of, and they try to take back power in Cambodia by overthrowing the guy who did the coup. And then eventually there's this long civil war, and eventually the Khmer Rouge, this Maoist organization headed by Pol Pot, it takes over the country. They enter the capital city Phnom Penh. They order everybody to evacuate the city. It's a big city. It's a metropolitan city, maybe a million plus population, perhaps. I don't remember exactly. Big city. They ordered everyone to evacuate the city. Everybody is out of the city. Everybody goes to the fields. So there are people, there are doctors doing surgeries, they are thrown out. If you wear glasses, you are an enemy of the state. If you are educated, if you know how to read and write, you're an enemy of the state. And they displace the entire population of all the cities and towns and villages of the country. They put them all in the fields of the country. They give them manual labor to do, and then they start hunting down people who are class enemies. Class enemies. We discussed Marxism in the beginning of the show, didn't we? Oppressors versus oppressed. Anyone who could read, who could write, anyone who wore glasses, anybody who had a watch was the enemy. And they would be murdered in the most horrific ways. They would be taken to what is the name of the prison in Phnom Penh? They called it the Hanoi Hilton or something. No, that was different. That was different. Tuol Sleng prison or something. I forget the exact name. In which they would process every person, take photographs, men, women, children. And look, I will not even describe the brutalities of what they did. The nation had a population of about 7 or so million at the time. From 1975 to 79, the population came down by, according to various reports, between 1 million to 5 million decrease of population, which means they killed between 1 to 5 million people in just 4 years. Through in the brutality was incredible. That's Pol Pot. Why did he massacre people? Because he wanted to be in power. He wanted to first come to power, then he wanted to retain power, and he do that by brutalizing and terrorizing the people. And he believed in Marxism. He was an ardent believer in Marxism, Pol Pot. So he implemented his version of Marxism. He was a Maoist, essentially. So that's what communism does. Since we are discussing this individual, let me put his. It makes sense to put a face to the name, right? So this is Pol Pot. This is what the person looked like. As you can, where is it? Here we have it. That was his face. That's Pol Pot, and this is a small sample of what he ended up doing. Okay, Cambodia is okay, and the king was Narottam Sihanouk, this guy who died in 2012 or something. His reputation is forever tainted by his association with the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot, and he had lots of children, uh, including Prince Narottam Ranaridh, who never became king, and Princess Bupha Devi, who was a dancer, classical dancer, and so on. Anyhow, I will not go into the details, but you get the point. Pol Pot is one of the great monsters of human history, who killed I don't know how many of his own people. Absolute monster.